Hey guys, how you doing? Today let's look at a website that helps a business to clearly distinguish itself on the marketplace and stand out from the crowd. We believe that a website is worthless unless you show up on the marketplace with a clear, consistent and instantly recognizable identity. And this is what I think the Island Collective is doing. That is a website that I discovered about a year ago, and I was always impressed by the way they present themselves, and I want to talk to you today about why I think that is. We're going to look at two things. First, the brand foundations. The question here is what makes a unique, persuasive look and feel? And secondly, the website functionality. The question here is when is a website complete and up to standards? Let's talk about brand foundations. The first thing I have as a criteria in my eval that I can also do for your website as soon as you would like me to is the business profile. What, how, when, where, what are the motivations of your business? What are its goals, its values and missions? And does your front page convey that? Does it convey personality and appeal? And I believe this website for the Island Collective does that very much. It immediately conveys the value, the purpose, and a clear theme. We have islands and seaside imagery and vibes. We have a very simple, very clear slogan that immediately tells people what is happening here, where did they land, and what do they do, and then it's followed by a button. This is a very minimalist and to the point design that does not distract from the main message. So I think just as an opening, the first thing you see on the website, there's a very clear business profile going on here. We don't think these people sell socks. We don't think they're rocket scientists. We know exactly what they do, and they use positive image seaside living as a connotation that establishes an emotional connection for us as a viewer. The next thing I want to look at is the color palette. Their color palette is really mostly grayscale. They have white text, they have grayscale images that are slightly faded. You won't find very high contrast with high bright points and very dark black points, but you will find across this website a very nice and subdued design, and that's very consistent. Wherever you go, the website is recognizable in its color theme. Also, while they do use grayscale for most of their design, you already saw that there are some things here that are in red, which is their decided accent color. They use red for headlines, they use red for these little plus symbols here, and they use it in other parts, like for instance this. So when something needs to stand out, that's when they distinctly and deliberately use the color red, which is also a very nice deliberate choice that helps this brand identify itself. The next thing, fonts. What fonts do they use? What fonts are associated with this brand? How many are they, and what do these fonts express? First of all, mainly we're looking at three fonts on this website. The first font is the font for the main text, which is Arial. Arial is a font that everybody has on their computer, and it's a very, very common font. It's a font that is clean, that is simple, that is easy to read, so there's nothing really wrong with using it. Personally, I don't like using it that much because it's very, very common. Everybody's using Arial. It's just one of the oldest fonts in the books, and everybody's using it everywhere all the time. You can become a little bit more unique, a little bit more of your own. You have a little bit more of your own design if you pick another font that is less common. But then there's nothing wrong with it. The secondary font is a font called Grad, which is being used for headlines or these menu items or also these headlines. That is all Grad. You can see that Grad is a serif font. That means that at the edges of these letters there are these little extensions that are called serifs. I'm going to show you what a serif is in case you are wondering. These are the serifs on a letter, and a serif font has these, and it appears more classical, more traditional, while a sans serif font doesn't have them, and that makes it appear more modern, more slick, more futuristic. These guys use both types of fonts. Arial is a non-serif, a sans serif font, and this headline font is a serif font, which is a classic combination that designers like to use very often, and it works quite well together. As you can see, the headlines set themselves apart a little from the main text, but it all flows together very well. There's nothing really jarring here that really stabs your eyeballs or something like that. Again, this font is called Grad, and it's deliberately chosen. Then the third one we're seeing is the third font we're seeing is one called Manus, and it's the one that is used for these isolated texts, like for instance this slogan here. It's a display font, and it is being used for display text. This also is the Manus font, and then if you browse the website a little bit more, you will see it pop up here and there in on occasion. I think I saw it on another page, probably on services. Let's just have a look. No, but I also really love how this is, these little footsteps that appear. But you will find it here and there all across their site when they want to underscore a point, or when they want to set a piece of text apart from the rest. That's when they use this. Again, this is very deliberate, and it really, these elements play together very well to create a very strong, very recognizable impression. The next thing is their word mark, also known as their logo. Some companies have a logo, some companies have a word mark. For instance, the Apple logo is this. That's the Apple logo. A logo is a symbol that represents a company, and then a word mark would be the Coca-Cola, and I mistyped it, but there it is, right? It's just the name of the company spelled in a particular font and stylized in a way. So we have this in the Island Collective. They're using a word mark, and they're just using the term island, the word island, in all caps in a particular font. That again is also very clear, it's very recognizable, and they use it throughout. If you go to their Facebook page, you will find the same word mark. So that too is a very clear decision that they made deliberately. Next question, layout and design. This is here we are looking at brand specific structures and visuals, like how do they use lines, how they use decoration, iconography, the format on their website. And what I like here is that they're using, they're really avoiding unnecessary filler, and they go straight to the heart of the message, to the heart of the matter. They present the services and the message of this brand in an easily accessible manner. How do they do this? First of all, by not overloading things. Like I said, no distractions here. There's just one message, and it tells you everything you need to know. It's not about completeness. It's not about jamming all the information you could possibly want to know about Island into one page. It's about appeal. We look at this, we're like, okay, I'm in the market for web design and creative. These guys have a really beautiful design. I'm going to click on continue, and that's what your website needs to be able to do. Also, they have this little thing here where they say right away, we're here to help you if you have any questions, which is pretty cool. And then if you click on continue, it goes down, and again, not a truckload of information here. It's just enough information for you to have an answer to the next question that's in your mind. They do web design and creative, okay, but how? What are they thinking? What's their thought process behind this? What's their philosophy? That is answered here. So it's a very clear website. It has some beautiful animations here. When you hover here, for instance, you can see that there's color coming in from these pictures, and also again, there's not a lot of there's a lot of white space here that lets us really see what we really want to know, and then we can click around and we can discover more about them. And it is not jammed in our faces, but it is there for us to click on if we want to see it. Very nicely done. Like I said, I'm gonna say a lot of positive things about this website because I really think they're doing a good job. But I'm hoping that it gives you a little bit of an idea of where you can take your own website and how you can perhaps improve your own message, how you can become a little bit clearer and a little bit more concise for your customers or your potential customers. Next question is slogan motto, and we're still looking at brand foundations, so we're still at part 1 of this evaluation, brand foundations. Slogan and motto. A slogan or a motto should be something that is less than 6 words, and it's just a very short, memorable phrase that tells us the core value of the business. The slogan is right here, front and center, web design and creative. It really doesn't get clearer than that, so I think it's excellent. Then the next thing would be a pitch. The pitch is the next step up from a slogan or motto. It should be something that normally, if you wanted to, you could squeeze in a tweet or in a text message or in a very short description field, for instance, in your Google search result, and it tells everything that needs to be known about the business. Their pitch, for instance, if you scroll down, you have a little pitch here. It's 2 sentences. Island Collective is a website design and marketing firm focused on solving companies' business goals. They get right there. They tell us who they are and what they do for us, which is what we really want to know. We don't want to know that much about them. We want to know about how they're going to help us. And this is a very clear text that does this in a very precise manner. So again, also this pitch, also known as elevator speech, the value proposal in 1 to 2 sentences. Their pitch is concise, on point, and informative. Then you can have a long description, which could, for instance, go about into this story field on their Facebook page or in the About section on their Facebook page. And again, here they write very little. They could do a little bit more. They could do 1 or 2 paragraphs, perhaps 3 short paragraphs about who they are and what they do. But their decision is, again, I'm sure, is a deliberate one to keep it short and really tell people in just a very short amount of letters, a short amount of time, what exactly do we do and how do we do it. So that is what we have on Facebook, the long description. So this is basically the brand foundations that I talked about. Business profile, color palette, fonts, wordmark, layout and design, your slogan or motto, your pitch, and a long description. Keep this in mind and think about, what is my brand doing in this respect? Do I have all these things nailed down? Do I have a very clear look and feel, a personality that is really distinct, that people will recognize anywhere, not just on my website, but also on my portfolio, on my business card, on posters that I present somewhere, on banners on Facebook? Is it all going to be recognizable? Do I have an identity? If you do have one, you will see that people are more likely to trust you. You have more credibility. That alone should be worth really investing in this. Now, let's look at website functionality. That's the only other thing that I think is important here. First of all, do they have a URL? Obviously, they have one. It's called weareisland.com. So they have their own website. It's not weareisland.wordpress.com, but it's their own domain name, which is good. And if you look at their whois info, we can, if we go to this whois database and look them up, we can find out a bunch of stuff about them. We can find out their names, their address, etc., etc. I believe there's ways of hiding this information, which you might want to consider when you register your own domain name. Loading speed. This is important for search engine optimization. I went to GTmetrix and typed in weareisland.com to see what their page speeds rankings are, and they have 92% on the page speed meter, and on Wieslow they have 81%, and those are excellent results. It shows that they clearly put in the effort to optimize their site for loading speed, and that is good for SEO. Google will recognize this and will rank you higher. Also, of course it's great for visitors, because as we already saw when I navigated this site, there's not long waiting times here. Everything is immediately there, right? So that is what a good website must do. If your website is slow, if people need to wait until it loads or until parts of it are loaded, you're losing customers. Like with every second that passes, you're losing potential customers. So that shouldn't happen. Again, very good design, very good scores here for weareisland.com. Also, if I go to byte check, their time to first byte, the time that passes until the first byte is received from their server, is about half a second, 574 milliseconds. That again as well is a very good result. Loading speed. Is the site responsive or mobile friendly? I noticed something odd. I haven't had that before, but if I go to Google's mobile friendly test, I can see that they cannot reach this site. So we can't really know. If I were to type in my own website, then I would learn that according to Google, my site is mobile friendly. There's another way of finding out if a site is mobile friendly by simply resizing your browser window. And if you make the browser window small like this, and the website still looks fine and nothing is cut off and you can properly read everything, then it is definitely mobile friendly. It will look fine on a phone or an iPad. And obviously in the 21st century, you cannot have a website that is not mobile friendly. You're going to exclude a lot of users if you do that, and you're also going to really hurt your page rankings in search engines. So don't even think about not having a responsive, a mobile-friendly website. This website is very responsive. You can see as I shrink the browser, the website's design responds accordingly. Hence, it is responsive. So yeah, nothing more to say. It's a responsive, mobile-friendly website, and it works quite well. Is it social media friendly? The question here is, how would this website look if we shared it on Facebook? You can use the Facebook debugger to find out, and it gives you a typical search result or a typical metadata pull in how it would look like if you shared it on Facebook. And there is a picture here that makes a lot of sense. It is their brand picture. It is associated with their brand. They have a title for the site, and they have a description for the site. So if I was to share it on my timeline on Facebook, people would understand what's going on, right? There are some other websites, when you share them, they don't have this metadata in place. And then there's no picture, or there's a random picture, and it says home, and it says nothing else here. Then, that's a website that is not integrated into Facebook. And again, you're losing potential customers, because why would somebody click on a link when it doesn't tell them what this is about? Here's my website. This is how I made my picture. A difference here is on the island connective picture, there's no text here. I made the choice to put some more text also here on this. It says Matt Eastwood, Mood Photographer, and has my website address, my URL on it, so that even if people glance at the picture, they get the information and they understand what I do a little bit better. So that's something that they could have done here but didn't. Yeah. Let's move on to social media friendly. Do they have a favicon? Oh wait, no, sorry, I didn't really finish with social media. So if you look at the social media optimizer by Noam, we'll see that the Open Graph data is all there. That's the Open Graph data, is the data that Facebook reads. Also LinkedIn reads that, but there's no Twitter metadata. So if I were to share the site on Twitter, it might not look as good. So that's a little bit of a problem. And then there's also no Google Plus author info. Those are things that you should just bear in mind if you make your own website. Make sure that you have your Twitter metadata, you have your Open Graph metadata, because people will share your website on Facebook and Twitter and other social networks, and you want it to look good. Favicon. So, do they have a favicon? We can see that they do. The favicon is this little thing up here, and it's there, and it's not, it's not a random favicon that comes from their web hosting company, but it's theirs. It's an anchor. It fits the theme of the brand, and so they pass my favicon test. Last thing we want to look at is the Google search result. If somebody looks at this site, looks for this site on Google, what does the search result say? And again, it's perfect. We have here in the site title, we know exactly what the site is about. Website Design and Creative, Island Collective, Saskatoon. Where are they? What's their name? And what do they do? They open with what do we do? Because that's the first thing that we want to see. Look at this. If this said Island Cutoff, I wouldn't know what this is, but website D, then it's a little bit clearer already. Oh, they're doing something related with websites. That's perfect. Also, this little blurb, which is the meta description, and this is the one that I referred to earlier as the pitch. It should be less than 150 characters, so it fits in here, and then it would also fit into a tweet or tweets are now 280 characters, but it used to fit in a tweet. If you stay below 150, that's sort of a magic number where it really fits into a lot of services or a lot of media that you can use to share and get your message out there. And again, this blurb is very short and contains all the right keywords, all the right information for somebody that is looking for these kinds of services. If you look for website design, for marketing, if you type this stuff into Google, they will be among the search results because they put that information there. So to conclude, we have a website here that I think is both very well designed and also very well optimized. They have clearly put a lot of thought into their branding. How do we present ourselves to the world? How do we show up on the marketplace? And I'm sure it pays off for them. They say they're award winning, and I believe that. This is a website that we trust. They know and understand what they do just by the way they present themselves, the way they talk about themselves, the way they present their projects. This is a trustworthy business. This is a business that I would work with if I were to do want branding or marketing services. So there you go. I hope that helps you a little understand better how to get there and how to make your own decisions when you make a website. I would love to get together with you and talk to you more about this, because perhaps I can help you make some of these things for yourself and have a great impact on the marketplace and on the internet. If you want to talk to me, please by all means get in touch. I look forward to it. Until then, have a wonderful time. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.